Hello everybody, I'm M, and welcome to Green Screen Entertainment. In ancient times, the Greeks believed that everything was made up of 4 elements. Water, air, earth, and the most difficult to control, fire. Fire's become a mainstay element in popular media, so today I thought it would be fun to count down my top 5 favorite fire characters. The rules here are simple. The characters on this list have to use fire. But not just any use of fire. If I went by any loose connection, I could put Superman on here via his heat vision. They don't have to exclusively use fire, but fire does have to take up at least 50% of the character's arsenal. Also, they must be good characters. If they have powerful fire attacks, but I despise them as a character, they won't make it on the list. The reverse is also true. Also, one more thing, spoiler alert, obviously. With all that said, let's get started with the honorable mentions. First up, we got Heatwave from the DC Universe. As one of the most iconic members of the Rogues, he's always been paired up with his chilling counterpart, Captain Cold. In the comics, he has a furnace fused with his body and has enough power to destroy a city. He blasts fire from his arms and chest like Iron Man, even creating defensive rings of fire. In the CW Flash show, he seems to be a pyromaniac with a mini flamethrower. Is it wrong that I'm somehow more entertained by the less interesting version? Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia. I really like this half-and-half student, and his uses of fire are fun, but he still seems to mainly rely on the ice side of his quirk, which I've seen a lot more of, so it's not enough to land him a spot. He's good as a character, though, and I really like how he turns from a cold and detached sort of person to a socially awkward yet caring fellow over the course of the show. Dobby, also from My Hero Academia. A solid design, with skin grafts indicating he was burned by his own flames, which are very powerful and blue, just for that extra cool factor. However, I don't know that much about him aside from that, and I haven't read the manga, so yeah, overall I just don't know enough about him to justify putting him on the list. So with all that, onto the list proper. You know, Mega Man has a lot of fire-themed robot masters to choose between. We got Fireman, we got Burner Man, we got Magma Man, and my pick for this list, number 10, Heatman. Heatman's color palette is mostly red and yellow, like the average fire, and if you'll notice, he looks like a giant lighter. That's both a goofy and ingenious design on Capcom's part. His attacks consists of shooting fire pillars and rocketing across the stage in a blazing comet. His weapon, the Atomic Fire, is a super powerful fire blast that deals a lot of damage, and has the distinction of being the first chargeable Mega Man weapon. He was also one of the Robot Masters brought back in the Doc Robot form in Mega Man 3, with a harder version of his Fight from 2, which requires 2 of the weapons with the shortest range in the game, the Top Spin and the Shadow Blade, to take down. And good luck getting close to this guy! It's a tough fight, even if you've played Mega Man 2 before that, but it's still beatable. In the comics, Heatman is a polite fellow, kind of a dork, but he still really likes battle, as seen by his massive grin. He's really likable, which is surprising, given that even in the comics, the Robot Masters have a short time to make an impression. And there's also his Battle Network version. I've never played a Mega Man Battle Network game, but this version of Heatman looks really cool. It's as if a lighter came to life with blazing wire arms. It doesn't get much cooler than that, believe you me. However, Heatman isn't really a well-developed character compared to the other entries, and I know next to nothing about his appearance in Super Adventure Rockman. So yeah, number 10 it is. Next is a blast from DC, the Nuclear Man himself, Firestorm. But which Firestorm, you may be asking? To which I respond, is it too much to ask for all of them? At a protest gone wrong, or a field trip, depending on your version, A nuclear explosion fused the bodies of Ronald Raymond and Professor Martin Stein into one man with a blazing head and hands, with the outward appearance and mind of Ronnie, with Professor Stein residing in the teen's head to give him information and direction. This is Firestorm. The original, at least. Others have taken up the mantle of Firestorm since, namely Jason Rush, who was the Firestorm in Injustice 2, and is a member of the Firestorm duo with Ronnie in the New 52 comics.
You must have swallowed the red pill.
Completely different Matrix.
Speaking of which, the two have great chemistry and organic development over the course of Brightest Day, and just might be my favorite version of Firestorm, with Ronnie being the cocky and confident one, while Jason is more the voice of reason. And yet, despite being so different, they managed to bond and work together really well. And in the Flash show, Firestorm is built up over the course of the season until the episode focused on him, which was amazing. It was really fun to watch Flash fight an aerial foe. Firestorm's main power, in the comics at least, is transmuting matter, turning something into something else. The main use of his power? Creating and shooting fire, of course. In Injustice 2, as well as the Flash series, it leans really heavily on fire attacks. Fireballs, blazing shockwaves, even flight. These attacks were his go-to in the Flash show, making him a formidable foe. Only thing is, these appearances downplay his transmuting in favor of his fire attacks. And as such, they don't really represent the full picture of what Firestorm's capable of. I mean, yeah, in the comics he can shoot fire too, but he can also transmute objects, which isn't really all that present in his other iterations. So, yeah, number 9 it is. Although, I can't say that's necessarily a bad thing. He's a good fire user and a good character, so yeah, number 9 is Firestorm. All of them. So, Sonic characters. They cover a lot of stuff, from detectives to evil twins, but do they have a fire user? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Blaze the Cat. Introduced in Sonic 06 and featuring in Sonic Rush as the second playable character, Blaze is a purple cat from another dimension. And before you say that sounds weird, this is a series with time travel, aliens, and multiple giant primordial beasts. Another dimension isn't really all that far off in comparison. Anyway, Blaze can create and control fire, with her go-to move being a fire tornado, which she uses in place of a spin dash. She can also control pre-existing fire to create a massive fire whirl. In the comics, Blaze is a cool and collected sort of character most of the time, though based on her temper, I think it's safe to say the ironic coldness is just a persona to keep her emotions in check. Do you want to know what kind of red-hot temper she has? In the comics, in the Pirate Plunder Panic arc, she summons a blazing Kamehameha to destroy a discount Death Star. That's how powerful her fire is. Like, her super form is called Burning Blaze, for Pete's sake. Sure, her design doesn't really convey fire as much as her name and abilities, but frankly, with her level of firepower, I'd be a fool not to include her. There's really not much else to say besides that. A good fire user, a cool character, as long as you don't get caught in her fire whirl. People are going to grill me for this one, aren't they? Just because I don't like Blaziken and Infernape as much as this next entry, that doesn't mean I hate them. Embore is a firefighting type Pokemon, slated as number 500 in the Pokédex. For some reason, he's received a lot of hate for being the third firefighting starter in a row, and I, for the life of me, don't understand this distaste. Embore is a really powerful Pokemon with the highest HP and attack stats out of the Gen 5 starters, and has a lot of powerful moves to make use of the stats he's got. Especially ones relevant to the list here: Flare Blitz, Flamethrower, Flame Charge, Fire Punch, and the most powerful fire-type attack, Blast Burn. And so many other blazing hot options too. The hair around his face is made of fire. and according to the Pokédex, it lights its fists on fire with that. That is awesome. It's a solid design overall, with the sumo wrestler motif working really well with the boar and fire ones. I haven't really seen a whole lot of its anime appearances, but in the Pokemon Adventures manga, Black's Tepig, and later Embore, was one of my favorite characters in that run of the manga. The way it started off not trusting Black to becoming his go-to partner is just an amazing character arc, with the battle against Charon's Gigalith creating all the more contrast between the beginning and end. Charon's heart turned to stone in the manga after Team Plasma's influence, but Black and Embore help melt through that and make him see just what he'd become, thanks to a bit of help from Black's newly evolved Musharna. Some men just want to watch the world burn, and with Embore, you can certainly do that in a Unova playthrough. Gee, Pokemon, why does M let you have 2 entries on the list, one after the other? The answer? Because this is my list and I can do what I want with it. You see, the legend behind this entry goes as such. In ancient Unova, there were 2 princes who owned a dragon Pokemon. One sought ideals, and the other sought truth. Distressed by the brothers' argument, the dragons split into 3 Pokemon. The part fueled by ideals became Zekrom, and the original husk of the body left behind became Kyurem. But the final part, fueled by truth, and the number 6 entry on this list, became Reshiram. Reshiram is a dragon and fire type, the color of white-hot flames with wisps on its head that resemble fire, and a tail like a torch. It even lights up orange in its Gen 5 appearance. And in the manga, for the amount of time that it does show up, it's still really awesome. It fought alongside Black against N Zekrom, causing a battle between truth and ideals mirroring that of the past. It was so amazing to watch this battle unfold, and to watch Black finally listen to Reshiram's heart. But what about battle capabilities? As opposed to Zekrom, who favors physical attack, Reshiram's stats lean more towards special attack. It can use Flamethrower, Fire Fang, and Will-O-Wisp, which are all good fire attacks, but its signature moves have a much different brand of fire. The first is Fusion Flare, which conjures a massive orb of flame for an explosive strike, and is double the power after Fusion Bolt. The second, much more devastating attack, is called Blue Flare, which not only has a 20% burn chance and the very high power of 130, 20 less than Hyper Beam, but it just looks so amazing when used. Reshiram and Zekrom are supposedly based off of yin and yang because they're opposites of each other, truth and ideals. But frankly, I'm more sticking to yang, thank you. Reshiram is such a good-looking and terrifying Pokemon, I'd hate to be the players who picked white version. Fair warning. If you're easily disturbed or afraid of long backstories, this next entry might not be for you. So please skip to the timecode provided, or I'll just leave you 5 or so seconds of whatever, just so you all can leave. Alright, all the easily stressed people out of the room? Perfect! Then let's talk about Naruto's own Edgelord McGee. Sasuke Uchiha is the sole heir and survivor of the Uchiha clan. But it wasn't always this way. He was practically like every other hard-working Ninja Academy student in the Hidden Leaf Village. Sure, he was top student, but otherwise he lived a normal life. His older brother, Itachi, told Sasuke that their clan crest was a fan, meant to symbolize the fanning of the flames that all Uchiha used. Overall, it was a good life, until Itachi up and slaughtered the entire clan. I don't know all the details, I've only read up to volumes 38, but what I do know for certain is that this incident changed everything. Sasuke became bent on revenge, ironically developing a cold personality, and began focusing on bolstering his own skills to one day avenge his family by killing his brother. His father taught him the clan's trademark fireball jutsu when he was young, and after a week of hard work, Sasuke mastered the technique. Spitting a huge fireball is cool and all, but he mastered a lot of other fire attacks too. Mainly the Phoenix Flower, which shoots several smaller fireballs, and the Dragon Flame, which lets the user breathe fire like a dragon. But the real kickers are in Sasuke's bloodline abilities, the Sharingan, or in this case the Mangekyo Sharingan. The first ability, Tsukuyomi, isn't really relevant to this list, but the second one we see is Amaterasu, or Heavenly Illumination. Black flames that once they touch something won't go out until whatever they've touched is burned away to ash. That's both scary and ironically cool to see in action. Sasuke can manipulate Amaterasu's shape with Inferno-style flame control to turn it into a flaming sword. And the third and final ability is the Susanoo, a giant combat avatar that looks like it's made of fire that Sasuke can use to make giant flaming arrows and swing giant flaming swords. How awesome is that? Not to mention, he can fight on par with top-tier ninja like Haku and Naruto, each of whom can pack a punch themselves.
In fact, next to the Uchiha, genius like yours looks pretty ordinary.
I would have placed him higher on the list, but realistically, there just aren't enough fiery design details to put him any higher on the list and justify it. I mean, yeah, he's got the fiery fan thing going on, and technically his flaming curse mark pattern, but that's really all he has going for him. Especially since he doesn't have the curse mark pattern anymore. But yeah, number 5 it is. Solely based on his lore and arsenal. He's a fun character to watch grow up and kick butt and take names. Some people call him overpowered and a Gary Stew and what have you, but really, I think it just shows that his fire can't be so easily put out. The Human Torch is a fun fire character. Okay, I should probably say more than that. The Human Torch is a really fun fire character. Look, I'm stretching here, okay guys? I'm stretching. I wondered when I would get to talk about Marvel's pre-cinematic universe history. It seems that day has come sooner than I thought with my number 4, the Human Torch. Johnny Storm was a member of a 4-person team sent into space to collect data on a cosmic storm. Contact with said storm changed all 4 of them, turning them into the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Girl, The Thing, and Johnny became the Human Torch. Unlike the more powerful fire-based user that DC would create 39 years later, the Torch exclusively uses fire. I really like the Human Torch, but it's not exactly a complex appreciation like the other entries on the list. He can light himself on fire, and he can fly. Go crazy! Sometimes the simple things are nice, and Torch certainly delivers on that front. He can throw fireballs, yeah, but he can do far more. He can throw homing fireballs. Okay, he can do much more than that. He can create images with his flames, absorb fire into his body with little to no damage, and control nearby fire. His absorption is so strong, he can even absorb the blast of an atomic bomb. But the best part of his arsenal is when he goes supernova. By pushing his power to his limits, Johnny can create fire hot enough to match the surface of the sun, which is about 15 million degrees Celsius. No other character on this list has flames quite that hot.
Any hotter and you're approaching supernova.
Sweet!
No, not sweet. That's the temperature of the sun.
Not only could you kill yourself, but you could set fire to Earth's atmosphere and destroy all human life as we know it.
Got it!
Overall, not quite as much to say this time, except to say that if you mess with Johnny Storm, you're gonna walk away burned. Something tells me I may or may not be mocked for this one. I don't know. A quick scroll through the search results on YouTube when I type in fairy tale review reveals some fairly polarizing results. So I have to wonder, will my number 3 entry on my top 10 fire characters list, aka Natsu Dragneel, raise a few eyebrows? Natsu is a dragon slayer, a child raised by a dragon and taught dragon-killing magic. His adopted father was the fire dragon Igneel, who taught him everything he knew. Natsu's design may not exclusively lean to anything fire-related, aside from dressing like he's headed somewhere warm, but the real meat of why he's here goes to everything else about him. His magic seems like a good place to start. As a dragon slayer, Natsu has well over 24 fire-based attacks. The Fire Dragon's Roar, the Iron Fist, the Talon, the Wing Attack, the Brilliant Flame, the Crimson Lotus Exploding Flame Blade! Yes! Can you think of a more awesome name for a fire attack than that? I don't think you can. If you say you can, you're a liar. He's super strong, able to destroy an entire town by accident with his power. But that's not all. By consuming a large amount of magical energy, Natsu can awaken Dragon Force, a form of Dragon Slayer magic that amps up his physical and magical power, doubling each. His fire magic is also linked to the Flames of Emotion, fire that gets stronger with, well, Natsu's emotions. And as if that power level wasn't enough, he can eat fire to replenish and boost his magic power.
Yeah, this is so gross. Are you sure that you're really a fire wizard? Because these are the nastiest flames I've ever tasted!
On top of being immune to any and all fire attacks. And as far as personality is concerned, he's a real hothead. He's a warm and friendly guy towards his friends, but he has a boiling hot temper that comes out when he spars on a regular basis with his friend and rival and an ice user, ironically enough, Grey Fullbuster. In combat, he's a forest fire, raging and hitting everything with hyper-aggressive attacks. He's got a burning passion for everything he does, and it's a lot of fun to watch. His fire can also match the God Slayer Zankro, who can wipe out an entire town with a single attack. And if that wasn't enough, he's strong enough to take down the previous Guildmaster of Fairy Tail, Master Precht, who, as the Guildmaster, is supposed to be the strongest of the guild. But Natsu took him down! He may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he'll burn you to ashes faster than you can blink. So the number 1, who was number 2, but has become number 1, is now number 2 on my list. Make of that what you will, folks. Enji Todoroki, aka Endeavor, is the number 1, formerly number 2, hero from My Hero Academia. He's had the highest records of incidents resolved in the past, and I suspect that won't be changing anytime soon. As another ironically cold person with fire, Endeavor has a talent for giving most other people the cold shoulder, especially his rival for the top spot, All Might. It's especially ironic that he's got a cold personality considering his blazing shoulder pads, his blazing mask, his burning facial hair? What's up with how does that even work? Logical qualms aside, it's a really solid design. Endeavor's fire not only works design-wise, but for combat as well. He can shape his fire to walk up walls and create blazing spears, which sounds cool, but that's not all. He can fly, create lashes of compressed fire with Flash Fire Fist Hell Spider, shoot bursts of compressed flame with Flash Fire Fist Jet Burn, and he can build on that further with his ultimate move, Prominence Burn, which just looks fantastic. We've had 2 other flaming superheroes on the list, but can they compare to a man who's fought a wannabe Doomsday? Endeavor could take down High End, a creature who's basically Nomu if he could fly and talk. If Endeavor could beat him, that means he could scale to All Might, who's strong enough to change the weather with a single punch. If that doesn't scream how powerful he is, I don't know what to tell you. And his character arc so far has been amazing. He starts the story being so obsessed with becoming number 1 that he abused his son Shoto, claiming he was training the boy to succeed him as the next number 1 hero. drove his wife insane, and neglected his children. Yeah, pretty heavy for a colorful superhero show. As the story moves on and All Might loses his power, he begins to re-examine himself and try to become a better man and a better father for his children. It's such a satisfying character arc when you see someone utterly despicable slowly become a nicer person in every way. Endeavor knows he can't erase all of the harm that he's done, but he's actively trying to make up for it. It takes a big man to admit his mistakes, an even bigger one to atone for them. But yeah, with his heightened firepower, his wicked design, and his good character overall, Endeavor burns it down to number 2. There are the flames. There are the infernos. And then there's Dan Kuso's partner, Pyrus Dragonoid. Or Drago, as Dan and everybody else has come to call him. Sent to Earth when Naga stole the Silent Core from the center of the universe, Drago is one of the few Bakugan that can talk to his partner. He had such a burning temper to start with, and hated the idea of people using his kind for battling games. And he didn't get along very well with his partner, Dan, for the first while because of that lack of understanding. Well, that and the latter's impulsive decisions. Because of their heated personalities, the two tended to butt heads a lot. But after a bunch of other stuff, including some of Dan's Bakugan being sent to the Doom Dimension, basically their version of Hell, he and Drago resolved their differences and got along. For the most part.
Excuse me, mister.
Dragons are pretty synonymous with fire, and this bad boy is no exception. Like his partner, again, Drago is very hot-headed, and he has a real temper, especially when others' lives are at stake. Not to mention, Drago and all of his evolutions sell the intimidating fire dragon look really well, and they're just really awesome designs. As a Bakugan, Drago is from the parallel universe Vestroia, or more specifically, the home of the fire-attributed Bakugan, Pyrus. He stands from within a pillar of fire, looking cool as all get out while doing it, and all of his abilities are based around fire. We got Burning Dragon, Firewall, Burning Infinity. Burning Infinity?! I think I just found a cooler fire attack name than Crimson Lotus Exploding Flame Blade. He's so powerful, he's able to rival the perfect core with his strength. And if you didn't know what the perfect core was, it essentially fuels a whole universe. Part of that is due to Drago's ultimate warrior gene. As a descendant of the original Pyrus Dragonoid, Drago is one of the most powerful Bakugan in existence. No one else has that level of literal firepower to be able to rival the core of a universe. So with his overwhelming might, his solid designs, and just having a good character arc overall, Drago is my number 1 fire character. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Heck, share this video around if you want, I don't care. So with all that being said, this has been M from the green screen. Have a nice day, everybody.